Hello, friends. I'm back last minute, kind of as always now, but that will not always be the case. With my UFC 299 picks, I'm super excited for UFC 299, man. Card's looking super fire on paper, and I think it will play out in a very satisfying way. I think we're in for a treat. As always, I'm going to start off with the early prelims, end off with the main event, giving my little picks, vibes, thoughts along the way. There are some interesting matchups on this one, and a lot of people we've seen before, and I will be looking forward to how they actually perform again. One of them is kind of first. Going straight into it, we're going off with the first early prelim, Joanne Wood versus the Iron Lady, Maryna Mororz. I'm going Maryna Mororz. Maryna Mororz is coming into this fight at 32 years old, 5'7", 67-inch reach. She is slightly bigger than Joanne Wood and much younger than Joanne Wood, who is 38 years old, 6 years older than Maryna Mororz, 5'6" tall, with a 65.5-inch reach. If you see me looking over here sometimes, it's because I got the boxing fights, the Ngannou versus Joshua fights. It's the co-main event, I guess. Zhang versus Parker. I actually like this dude, Zhang. Parker maybe is coming back a little bit. I have no idea, though. I don't watch boxing. I digress. Back to the picks. I think Maryna Mororz, I think the real difference with this is going to be the youth and obviously the physical prowess, the physical advantage that comes with being the younger fighter, especially with women, I feel like. And the grappling of Maryna Mororz. I'm low-key, if I had to pick, I would say Maryna Mororz maybe first-round sub. Maybe. If it gets chaotic on the ground, I really think that could happen. Maryna Mororz could yoink one up. Maryna's coming into this fight 11-5. 6 of those 11 wins came in the UFC. All 5 of her losses took place in the UFC. Joanne Wood matches up at 16-8. She is 8-8 in the UFC. Joanne Wood, I think, is you could say a better striker than Maryna Mororz, but I do think the grappling, the youth, the size advantage, even though it's slight, it's only an 1.5-inch reach advantage and an inch in height, is going to be enough, honestly. Maryna Mororz is also tough as hell. I like Maryna Mororz. She's coming off 2 tough losses. The last one to Karine Silva, if I'm not mistaken, and that's pretty tough. I'm betting on her to bounce back, honestly. I like Maryna Mororz. We're going Maryna Mororz. Now, this fight, second fight, flyweight fight. First fight was also a flyweight fight, women's flyweight. This is a men's flyweight fight, CJ Vergara versus Asu Almabaev. Now, I have such a queer feeling about this fight. I struggle to explain it. I think CJ's going to win. And my logic behind that is it's just that. It's not even, it's just conjecture. I just think he's going to win. It's not really based in logic or facts. It's just like a feel. It's just a vibe. I initially picked CJ Vergara. That's how strongly I feel. I don't know what it is. It's just alarms are going off in my head. This is like a parlay killer. CJ Vergara versus Asu Almabaev is one of those. It's a fucking parlay killer. CJ Vergara coming in this fight at 32 years old, 5'6" tall, 68-inch reach. Matched up with Asu, who is 2 years younger at 30 years old, 5'4", with a 60. Is he actually 5'4"? They are flyweights, but 5'4", 65-inch reach. And I like CJ's hands, I'm not going to lie, in this matchup. Asu has gotten some KO TKOs himself. He has 3. This is the thing, though. If you look at his Tapology, maybe this was updated. It actually says he's never lost by KO TKO. That's not true. He's actually been finished by KO TKO. He lost it to Gir Ulanbekov on the regional scene. So early in his career, but that still happened, though. You know, granted, Tagir can sometimes throw up these wild shots that catch people and hurt him bad, but I don't know. A lot of people are expecting Asu to just absolutely dog walk CJ. It might happen, and I'm gonna go with Asu Almabaev, but I got a bad feeling about this one, man. I got a bad feeling about this. CJ Vergara might let the dog out of him. He might even have the athleticism to match it, to survive Asu. I mean, we got to see. Asu did violate O.D. Osborne. We'll just have to see. I am picking Asu Almabaev, though, for that. Moving on to Robelis Despaigne, or Robelis Despaigne. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, actually. This is maybe not a sacrificial fight. We're going to see Robelis Despaigne for the first time. He's making his UFC debut at 35 years old, coming into this fight at a monstrous... He's a monster of a man. He's 6'7" tall with an 87-inch reach. That's insane. He's matched up against Josh Parisian, who is coming into this fight at 34 years old, 6'4", and a 79-inch reach. So an 8-inch reach advantage, 3-inch height advantage, and he's 1 year older. Way less mileage on him in a good and bad way, too, with fighting. Obviously, Robelis, he's 4-0. He's won all 4 of his fights by KO TKO in round 1. So he does not have a lot of fight time. He's just a monstrous dude. I'm pretty sure I heard something like he's a Taekwondo or karate black belt, something like that. Cuban experiment, honestly. He's just an experiment. We got to go with the experiment. Robelis Despaigne. Josh Parisian isn't he's not good. He's bad. But he's coming into this fight at 15-7. He has a 2-4 record in the UFC. Now, he actually does have a lot of KO TKOs on his record. He's 11-2, Josh Parisian is. When it comes to KO TKOs, he's 1-1 in the UFC. He's picked up one and he dropped one. He has way more experience, and like I said, his record is deceptive a little bit, Josh Parisian's. Like, this fight, I think, Josh Parisian might surprise some people. I don't think he will, though. I really don't think he will. I'm kind of confident in the Robelis pick. Most people are. But you never know. Dude has 4 fights. He's finished all of his fights in the first minute, pretty much. All in round 1, at least. I think maybe one of those finishes came in the later half of round 1. But either way, Josh Parisian at least has finished fights like... He's went the distance. That's what I was looking for. He went the distance. He's won some. He's lost some. I guess I really am backing the physicality of Robelis Despaigne. Like, man's huge. Moving on to a light heavyweight bout. That was a heavyweight bout that I just read off. Light heavyweight bout. I'm looking forward to this one. Philipe Lins versus Ion Cutelaba, the Incredible Hulk. This was a very tough fight for me to pick, honestly. Ultimately, I went with Ion Cutelaba, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Philipe Lins is coming. This is one of the reasons. Philipe Lins is coming into this fight at 38 years old. He looks great, and he's performed well, well. Win over OSP, Ovince St. Preux. That is what it is. Ovince St. Preux is already kind of washed, but was a good win. You can see that he has power. He's a scary dude. He's also big as fuck. He's 38 years old, 6'2", 78-inch reach, long-ass reach. Ion Cutelaba is 8 years younger. Ion is 30 years old. He's 6'1" with a 75-inch reach, so Philipe has a 3-inch reach advantage, and he is 1 inch taller. Coming into these fights with kind of similar records, Philipe has a 17-5 record. 3 of those wins and 2 of those losses took place in the UFC. Ion has a 17-9-1 record. 17 wins, 9 losses, and 1 draw as a professional, with 6 of those wins, 8 of those losses, and the single draw occurring in the UFC. Both dudes have KO power. I'd say Ion's KO power is a little bit more proven. We've seen him do it in the UFC, but granted, he's had way more UFC fights than Philipe. I don't think the submission game of Philipe is going to be a crazy threat. I'm really just scared because Ion is a bit of a fucking tweaker. He's a bit of a tweaker, but he's fought good competition. He's very powerful. He's deceptively good, I think, honestly. I'm going with Ion. I think, but this fight really might be determined by who can land the biggest exchange first. That might just decide this fight. Straight up. Moving on to a fight. This is one of my most excited. Let's actually check that. Check the hype. All the fights are pretty good, so it's tough, but I'm really anticipating this fight as well. Michel, Pereira, the human fucking meme, the sentient meme, versus Michał Oleksiejczuk. Hope I said that right. Michel Pereira, the walking meme, you may know him as the dude who's doing all these fucking backflips off the cage mid-fight, running along the cage wall, trying to do Showtime kicks off the cage wall. very physically imposing man. I'm a hater. I am a Michel Pereira hater, non-believer, doubter, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a fan of Michel Pereira. The man has earned my respect a bit, but not crazily. Not crazily. He's just not dog shit, though. I can't say he's dog shit. Michał Oleksiejczuk, I think, is actually super low-key. He is super low-key. I think he's pretty good. Very clean striking, very powerful. Decent record. Decent record if you look at who he's fought, who he's beaten, and who he's lost to. And he's a finisher. He is a finisher. He has 14 KO TKOs. 6 of those were in the UFC. He has a 19-6 record with 1 no contest. 7 of those wins, 4 of those losses, and that no contest took place in the UFC. Out of those 7 UFC wins, 6 of them are by KO TKO. I think that Michael will be able to find the chin of Michel Pereira and hopefully put the walking meme on the wrong end of a fucking highlight this time, man. I do not like Michel Pereira. This dude has been my downfall multiple times. I've even bet on him, and then he's lost on some crazy shit. I can never go right with this dude. Fucking Michel. Fuck him. Moving on to Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips. Very, very hype matchup as well. I'm going with Kyler Phillips in this one. Pedro, way older, coming into this fight at 37 years old. Actually, don't think I read off the physical stats for Michel Pereira and Michał Oleksiejczuk. So 30 years old is Michel Pereira. He's coming into this fight 6'1" with a 73-inch reach. Michael is 29 years old, 6 feet tall, with a 74-inch reach. So actually has 1 inch reach advantage. And 1 year younger. He has been subbed a bit, which gives me pause. Michael Oleksiejczuk has been subbed a bit. 3 of his UFC losses have come by submission. And Michel Pereira does have a sub in the UFC as well as subs in his record previously. He's 6-1 when it comes to submissions. But fuck him. Fuck him. Straight up fuck him. Fuck Michel Pereira. Moving on to Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips, my pick, coming into this fight at 28 years old, the younger lad. 5'8", 72-inch reach, major reach advantage, as I'm about to read it out, and a major age advantage. 2 huge factors for this fight, although there's some interesting stats in here. Pedro Munoz coming into this fight near 40 at 37 years old, 5'6" with a 65-inch reach, okay? Pedro Munoz has a 20-8 record as a professional. 10 of those wins, all 8 of those losses occurred in the UFC, as well as 2 no contests. His 2 no contests. Has a decent enough UFC record, in terms of method of victory. 3 submissions, 3 knockouts. He obviously has way more in just his general career. 4-8 when it comes to decisions. He has never been finished in his professional career, Pedro Munoz. He is very dangerous despite the 9-year age gap, but I do think Kyler Phillips is kind of him. I do think he is kind of him. Kyler Phillips has never been finished as well, extremely athletic, and he's coming into this fight a lot younger with a big reach advantage. Got to go with Kyler Phillips on that one. But Pedro's a dog, man. We'll have to see. This one I think will be quick in terms of my coverage. Mateusz Gamrot versus RDA, Rafael dos Anjos. My meowing buff. I don't know if you can hear her. She's meowing for me. Mateusz Gamrot, big favorite. I think one of the biggest favorites on the card. He is also my pick. He is coming into this fight 33 years old, 5'10", 70.5-inch reach. RDA is damn near 40 at 39 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. RDA has a 32-15 record as a professional. 21 of those wins took place in the UFC. 13 of those losses took place in the UFC as well. Former champion, as many people know. Man is an old lion. He's an old lion. I'm just going to leave it at that. He's an old lion. I think Mateusz Gamrot, he's coming up. Massive momentum. I'm not even fully sold on Mateusz like that, but we'll have to see. He's been finishing fights. Impressive record at 23-2, 6-2 in the UFC. We'll have to see. He does have good UFC wins. I'm going with Mateusz. Hopefully he can show me something impressive. I will be looking forward to it. Forgot this fucking Zhang and Parker fight was even going on. Caitlin Serminara, formerly Caitlin Shakugian, I believe, versus Macy Barber. A bit of an AIDSy fight, I think, honestly, because there is a bit of background information, kind of personal life events that happened to Caitlin Serminara. She had 2 miscarriages consecutively, I believe. And she said herself, I'm not quoting her verbatim, but she said herself that she took a fight at least, to get her mind off of it, to move on from that stuff. And I understand that completely, right? But I don't know about that, man. I didn't do any research. I don't know about the toll, the physical toll, not the emotional toll. I don't know about the physical toll that would take on a woman's body. Caitlin is 35. She's coming into this fight at 35 years old. She stands 5'9". She has a 68-inch reach. Maycee Barber is 10 years younger at 25. She stands 5'5", so 4 inches shorter with a 3-inch reach disadvantage at 65 inches. I'm leaning Maycee Barber, but this is scary, man, because who knows? This fight is really like a who knows to me. On paper, I say Maycee Barber wins, but there's a lot of stuff going on with Caitlin. You know, I think when people start saying stuff like that, there's a chance that they come out looking like a demon. There's also a chance that they come out and fight one of the worst fights of their professional career. She's already a decision merchant. Maycee Barber has shown us that she can finish fights, at least some of them, even though she's lost a little bit of her hype. It's tough. It's tough. I'm going with Maycee Barber, but this is tough. The background stuff, we don't know how. I think that plays in. It's definitely going to play in. We just don't know how. Damn, people are saying that this Zhang and Parker fight is tied up now. Jeez. I guess Parker came back. Moving on to Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida. Curtis Razor Blades. This is spooky hours. This is spooky hours. Do not get it twisted. Curtis Blades might not go out the way you think he is. Although I think Jailton Almeida will give him the Derek Lewis treatment, be able to take him down calmly. Might not be the most entertaining fight, but I am going Jailton Almeida. He's coming into this fight at 32 years old, stands 6'3" with a 79-inch reach. Curtis Blades a little bit bigger. 1 year older at 33 years old, 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. Like I said, 1 inch taller, 1 inch longer in terms of reach. Curtis comes into this fight with a 17-4 with 1 no contest record as a professional. 12 of those 17 wins and all four of his losses, as well as the single no contest, took place in the UFC. He has deadly power, but there is obviously the hole in Curtis's game, specifically with this Jailton Almeida matchup, which is going to be the grappling. And I do think it's going to be exploited. I'm going with Jailton Almeida to get this done. He also has monstrous power. The dude is not going to make any accusations, but he's a specimen. We'll say he's a physical specimen. Sublime physique. How he got that, we don't know. But maybe he was gifted. I think if he takes down Curtis, he wins. As simple as it is. Jailton is 20-2. He's 6-0 in the UFC. Has a couple KO TKOs of his own, but really it's the submissions. While Curtis Blades doesn't have a submission on his record, win or lose. Jailton has 12 wins by submission. 3 of these officially taking place in the UFC. The other one taking place on Dana White Contender Series. It's spooky, man. I feel like you got to go with Jailton, but Curtis does have a chance to KO him. He really does, you know. Moving on to spooky hours, again, one of the most anticipated fights in general, and for me personally, Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Man, this is crazy. I've been going back and forth. Song Yadong is on that trajectory. He's riding that wave. You know, we've seen that wave before. He's coming into this fight as the young man, too, a year older than me, at 26 years old, 5'8", 67-inch reach. Petr Yan, they're pretty similar physically. Petr Yan, although he is 5 years older at 31 years old, he is 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. I think the real difference here, the level of the technical prowess between the two on the feet. I think Petr Yan, like I said, don't quote me on this, I think he was like the Serbian national boxing champ, Russian national boxing champ, something like that. Song Yadong is a Chinese experiment, but he's just not as much of a technician as Petr Yan is. And Petr Yan does have grappling. He's a competent grappler. took Sean O'Malley for a couple rides, you know. Honestly, I do see Petr Yan just simply outfighting Song Yadong, maybe even catching him in a few deadly sequences that allow him to get a finish. Song Yadong will be carrying at all times that fucking massive, unnatural power. Unnatural power. Petr Yan comes into this fight at 16-5, 8-4 in the UFC, and I'm going to say a deceptive record, not how people would typically think of it. It's deceptive in the sense that with another win here, with the lack of disqualification against Aljo, even though that's kind of like a fucking canon event, you could say, like, this man Petr Yan would probably be a champion. He'd probably be a champion. The Sean O'Malley fight, super close, you know. A lot of people said he got robbed. He is on a 3-loss streak, but it is only to top-level dudes. I believe out of those 3 losses, 2 of them would be the champion in Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling. I forget who the 3rd loss is, actually. But either way. Moving on, Petr Yan's the pick. To Gilbert Burns, Durinho versus Jack Della Maddalena. Jack Della Maddalena, there's a big reason why I'm picking Jack Della Maddalena in this fight. Again, father time, man. Jack Della Maddalena is coming into this fight 10 years younger than Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is 37 years old, stands 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Jack Della Maddalena is 27 years old, 5'11" with a 2-inch reach advantage, coming in at 73 inches. Now, Gilbert Burns is not a fucking walk in the park by any means. He can't be counted out. He has a 22-6 record. Very impressive. 15 of those wins, 6 of those losses taking place in the UFC. Extremely impressive record. Many finishes. A decision in there too. He's a great fighter. He's just getting old. On the ground, it doesn't matter. The age does not matter. He has to be fucking respected. Especially against a dude like Jack Della Maddalena, who we saw has that tweaker gene. He has that tweaker streak. He'll tweak out. He'll bug out. He will be silly and jump the ghillie. Don't be silly. Don't jump the ghillie, Jack. Please. Remember that. Don't be silly. Don't jump the ghillie. Like, it's the opposite of don't be silly, wrap your willy. It's don't be silly. Don't jump the ghillie. Going with Jack Della Maddalena, I think he has crisp boxing. We're going to see massive body shots, rips. I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Della Maddalena honestly finishes Gilbert Burns. I don't mean to say that in a disrespectful way. I just wouldn't really be too surprised. Damn, this is actually coming out to be a fast video. Or faster, or shorter than usual, I should say. Moving on to the featured fight of the night. Again, also with the Gilbert Burns and Jack Della Maddalena, I think we got El Clasico here. Grappler versus striker, very nice. Low-key spooky hours. Very interested. I will not be rooting for Gilbert Burns even behind the pick because I fuck with Jack Della Maddalena, but Jack Della Maddalena is the pick. Now on to the featured fight, which is Kevin Holland, a.k.a. Big Mouth, a.k.a. the Trailblazer, versus Michael Venom Page, who, whether you like it or not, is a modern legendary mixed martial artist, but when I say legendary, he's a legendary can crusher. That is literally his legend. He is a legendary fucking can crusher. There's a reason why we haven't seen him in the UFC. If we saw him in the UFC, the whole lore, Michael Venom Page as we know him today, wouldn't exist. He just wouldn't exist. I'm not saying he would wash out. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, as we know it, with all the flashy knockouts that you saw in Bellator, of fucking taxi drivers, garbage men, factory workers that got laid off, all that shit, guys at the bar that stepped up, you wouldn't see that. We wouldn't see that. Michael Venom Page is making his UFC debut at 36 years old, right? Spooky. Kevin Holland is 5 years younger at 31. He said he would show MVP levels, basically. I believe he will. I'm going with Kevin Holland. I think this is a simple pick, honestly. The danger lies in the fact that Michael Venom Page, and just in general, even if fighters do that, Michael Venom Page is talented, though. That's the thing. We criticize him for fighting cans. He is talented, though. He had that loss to Diego Lima's brother, I want to say. I don't remember his name. Something Lima. Donald Lima? Nah, I don't know about Donald Lima. But, Oh, I guess Zhang won by decision. Interesting. As I was saying... Damn, where was I? As I was saying, basically, you wouldn't see Michael Venom Page in the same light if he was in the UFC, if he stayed, if he actually was fighting at the highest level. That doesn't take away from his actual skill set. He is extremely skilled, similar to Kevin Holland, but I would say maybe even cleaner. But again, it's just the level of competition that we've seen him face. I do think there's a massive difference in grappling. I actually got Kevin Holland to win this by submission. Michael Venom Page does have a real legitimate chance to KO TKO Kevin Holland, catch him one time, hurt him. He's extremely quick. He's very crafty. He's just slick. His striking is not only crisp, he's very slick. Kevin Holland is a slick individual himself, but he does get caught. He is a tweaker. He's the best kind of tweaker, Kevin Holland, but he is a tweaker. We have to remember that. I think he smokes MVP, but I'm scared a little bit about it, though. I am a little scared. Kevin Holland is the pick. We move on to the co-main event. Dustin Poirier. Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis, the killer. Real killer. The god of war. Dustin's coming into this fight at 35 years old, 5'9", 73-inch reach. Benoit 7 years younger, 28 years old, 5'11", 73-inch reach. 2 inches taller, same reach. Dustin has a veteran's record of 29 wins, 8 losses as a professional. 21 of those 29 wins taking place in the UFC. 7 of the 8 losses taking place in the UFC, with 1 no contest as well. Now, I got Benoit Saint-Denis. I've had Benoit Saint-Denis. I don't know how I didn't hear, though, until yesterday about that goddamn staph infection bullshit. That just... instantly vibe killer. I'm still going with Benoit. I'm still going with him. But Jesus Christ, man, like, it's spooky. Benoit Saint-Denis is a legitimate up-and-comer. He is 5-1 in the UFC, 13-1 overall. He has 4 KO, TKO victories. 3 of those took place in the UFC. 9 submission victories. 2 took place in the UFC. And he has 1 decision loss that occurred in the UFC. He's on a 5-fight finish streak. You should keep that in mind. A 5-fight finish streak. Excuse me. With a 100% finish rate as a professional. He is a legitimate prospect. A black belt in judo. I think at the age of 16, he was in the French Army Special Forces Command. 1st Marine Division, something like that, and was also an SAS operator in Mali, which leads me to believe that he's a real killer. Like, he's actually caught bodies, maybe. Maybe. Not saying he did, but maybe. You know, man's seen war. Man's seen a little bit of war. Dustin Poirier has also been in some wars of his own, but just different types. He's taken a lot of damage. He's coming off of a vicious head kick KO at the feet of Justin Gaethje, which I called. Getting older, too. The thing about Dustin, he has to be respected. He's earned his nickname, his record, his status, for real. Like, he is a world-class fighter. He's fought the best. He's fought the best, beat the best, and lost to the best. It is what it is. I do think Benoit Saint-Denis has everything going for him right now, except for, obviously, the staph infection. He's a physical threat and a technical threat. The dude knows brutal techniques, especially head kicks. Smoked Matt Frivola by head kick. I did not pick that, but I screamed because you could see that head kick taking place before it happened, like a split second before it happened. You could tell dude's throwing up a kick. Did Zhang win? Or are they just talking to... I don't know what's going on there, but... Benoit is a real killer, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know if this guy won or not. Excuse me. I know I'm fucking... it sounds like he won, actually. It seems like he won. I hope he won. Moving on to the main event. Their main event is about to pull up right now. Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera for the bantamweight title, the bantamweight men's title. Now, it's been a long time coming, some would say, that these two would cross paths. But it's a perfect time, in my opinion. A lot of lore behind this fight. I'm sure a lot of you know. These men have crossed paths once before. And Marlon Vera emerged victorious. The man to have snapped Sean O'Malley's undefeated streak and finish him. That did not come without controversy, though. Not too controversial, just controversial in the aspect that a lot of people were talking about it. Some people disagreed with the, I don't want to say the reality of the matter, but with what happened, with what they saw, how they interpreted it. Marlon Chito Vera and Sean O'Malley were having a very close fight. It was obviously going to be a very technical fight. Marlon Vera throws a leg kick, completely takes out Sean O'Malley's leg by hitting the perennial nerve. And it is a fluky thing, but that word fluky has an asterisk there, not the negative connotation. It's just extremely unlikely that that would happen. You know, that's an extremely rare outcome. Nonetheless, it happened. You know, it's the same thing. It's a similar thing to a dude getting KO'd. Like, obviously, you're trying to KO people. You might not be trying to KO, or TKO, I should say, people with leg kicks. But if it happens, it happens. You know, it happens. Shit happens. You're fighting. It's not like you got leg kicked. It's not like Conor, where Conor was getting leg kicked and then he stepped back and his shit just snapped. You know, like, it was not like that. It was like you got kicked and the kick hurt you. It hurt you in the most rare variant way it possibly could, but it hurt you nonetheless. And I picked Sean to win that fight. Sean O'Malley, though, despite his lack of charisma, he is him. He is good. He's a fucking amazing fighter, man. He's shown us time and time again. I remember the moment, I think it was the Paiva fight, where I was like, okay, the hype is real. Sean O'Malley is kind of him. And he's only continued on from there for real. Like, he's very young. Sugar Sean O'Malley is coming to this fight at 29 years old. Has a perfect frame for his weight class at 5'11", with a 72-inch reach. 17-1 with 1 no contest. 9 of those wins, his only loss and no contest, taking place in the UFC, obviously. He is the current bantamweight champion. This will be his first title defense. He just stripped Aljo of the title, yoinked it off of him, KO'd him. I called that. Insane speed and technique. Also, we know that he trains, obviously, jiu-jitsu. He grapples. We don't see a shit ton of it in the UFC, but he has it, I think, at least in his back pocket. I trust it, you know, even though we haven't really seen it a lot in the UFC. And Marlon Chito Vera got a deceptive amount of subs on his record. 10 submissions, 10 wins by submission, 4 of those taking place in the UFC. He's coming into this fight 31 years old, 5'8", with a 70.5-inch reach. 1.5-inch reach behind Sean O'Malley, 3 inches shorter. 23 wins, 8 losses, and 1 draw as a professional. 15 of those wins, 7 of those losses coming in the UFC. Impressive record. 8 wins by KO, TKO. 7 of those 8 were in the UFC. Very impressive. 10 wins by submissions, 4 in the UFC. And 5-8 when it comes to decisions, and 4-7 in the UFC, if you want to know a little bit more about that. He is very dangerous, although he does not have the highest output. He is extremely accurate, extremely lethal, similar to Sean O'Malley, but Sean O'Malley has a lot more output. This could either end up being the best fight on the card. It could easily be the worst fight on the card. I think more so depending on how Sean wants to fight. If Sean maybe is more worried about not losing than winning, even though I know this is all like just fucking rambling, like who the fuck am I? But you know what I mean? If we've seen this before, I'm thinking more so along the lines of Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero, or Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. Sean might be content with winning a fight via the judges, a third party, watching the entire fight, go the distance, and deciding he won afterwards, as opposed to trying to finish maybe Marlon or anything like that. We could see that. I hope not. I will be praying that we do not see that, though. I hope all these fights are just absolute gas. I think they will be bangers, honestly. I'm hoping. I only see maybe the possibility for a decision or two, seriously. Maybe Maryna Mororz doesn't get the finish, it goes to decision. Same with Asu Almabaev. If Mateusz Gamrot doesn't get the finish, he's dog shit. He is dog shit. Macy Barber might go to decision, actually, now that I think about it. And Kevin Holland also might go to decision. Low-key might. I don't think it will, though. I think Kevin Holland finishes MVP by submission. I'm going to actually give out some method of victory and some round picks just because I've mentioned them already. But I'm just going to recap basically all my picks. First off, I'm going with Maryna Mororz, the Iron Lady. I think she'll get it done by submission in round 1. Maybe not round 1, but I do think she'll get it done by submission. She has to be respected, even though her record a little deceptive at this point. She's coming off of those 2 losses. One of those losses, her most recent one, I believe, was to a legitimate women's prospect. Moving on, I switched over from CJ Vergara, man. Do I want to go with CJ Vergara? No one is going with CJ Vergara. I want to go with CJ Vergara. I don't see CJ Vergara getting the knockout, but it's possible, though. It is not impossible. That's not an impossibility for CJ Vergara to really crack the fucking chin of this guy. Asu. I mean, people are doing a lot of MMA math with this fight, but... Oh, God, man. I'm going with Asu Almabaev for now. Maybe I'll make a super last-second update, and you can look in the comments below, and you'll see if I've updated, if I've switched my pick since then. As of right now, I'm staying with Asu Almabaev. If I had to guess, submission. But maybe decision, honestly. I think CJ is no slouch. People are counting CJ out. We got to see CJ, brother. Show me something. Moving on. Robelis Despaigne. I'm going KO TKO round 1, probably, if the KO TKO is there, unless this... I think that if there's no finish in the first round, or at least first round and a half, it will probably go the distance, even though if you look on DraftKings right now, the fight to go the distance is minus fucking 1,200. But those, I feel like, get broken the most. Those super heavy favorited fight not to go the distance, heavyweight bouts, I feel like those get snapped, so you might find some value maybe if you're feeling extremely lucky on that. Moving on. Michał Oleksiejczuk to smoke. If you put a gun to my head, I'll say to KO TKO. Michel Pereira, the human fucking meme who I hate. I know I'm getting amped up. I'm getting a little animated for it. But I am not a fan. I respect the man a bit, but I'm not a fan. I'm a doubter, hater. Call me whatever you want about him. But I am a Michał Oleksiejczuk believer. I'm a believer, bro. And I hope that you guys... Remember that name. Michał Oleksiejczuk. Oleksiejczuk. Moving on to the Incredible Hulk. Cutelaba, man. This fight is terrifying, though. Philipe lives up to his nickname, Monstro, when you see him. Or Monstero, like Monstero. That might be Portuguese shit, because I think he's Brazilian. I'm praying that Aeon can just think and, look as great as he has in the past. If he does look as good as he has in the past, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Just gotta let him do his thing. Philipe. This is tough. Pedro Munoz, in his 37 years of life and with his 28, I think, professional fights, I might be wrong on that, he has never been finished. Do I think it's going to happen now? I don't know. It could. But I don't know. I actually don't feel too... I can't really see anything past that. I'm just going with Philipe. Mateusz Gamrot. We could say by KO TKO. I don't know when, but hopefully by KO TKO. At least by finish. You just got to get a finish, Mateusz. That's all you got to do. Not like that's too hard. Then we got Macy Barber. No method, no round. Jailton Almeida. I feel like I want to say sub, obviously, but I feel like Jailton might just flatten him out and then ground and pound him and TKO him. That might be a real possibility. I'm just going to go with Jailton Almeida. Piotr Yan, same thing. You can't really pick method of victory. I feel like that's spooky. That might even go to decision in a real war. I got Jack Della Maddalena, though, by KO TKO round 2. Let me know what you think about that one. That's a little spooky. Got Kevin Holland by submission. No round. Just by submission. I think he can get it done. I think if this fight goes to the ground, it's fucking over. Like, I have seen MVP get a submission, but The only submission I've ever seen him get was on a dude who was trying to hit him with up kicks and almost hit him with a nasty up kick. And then I'm sorry, he actually wasn't going for up kicks. He was trying to leg lock the MVP, I think, Michael Venom Page. And then Michael Venom Page actually hit him with some brutal shit. This is one of my favorite MVP finishes, funny enough, where he just like straight up like straight ankle locked him or some shit, standing up and like stared him down, got nasty, like put his dick in his face. I fuck with that. Moving on to the co-main event, Benoit Saint-Denis. I had him, honestly, I feel like it's by KO, TKO, by head kick. I don't know what round. You could fuck it and just say round 2. We'll say fuck it and just say round 2. KO, TKO, round 2 for Benoit Saint-Denis. Sugar Sean O'Malley, I'm worried about this one. This really could go to decision. Seems like Francis Ngannou is about to walk out, or maybe Anthony Joshua is about to walk out. I digress. This fight could go to decision. Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera. It really could. I think it's favored too. We'll have to see, man. I think actually something that's really big on my mind is actually the press conference. Just the vibes around the fight. Like, both dudes look good. Chito looks like a savage, like in a good way. He's dripped out too in the preem, but again, Sean O'Malley, he I think got a little bit of a wake-up call in terms of real popularity and people's honest opinions on him at the press conference, you know? Like, a lot of people were backing Chito, and a lot of people are backing Chito, you know? Sean, he's going to have to show a lot of people something, but this fight will be like almost a legacy fight for him. If he can pull this off in spectacular, in dominant or decisive fashion, this will be a legacy fight that we will talk about for Sean O'Malley. Like, you know, he finished off a dangerous opponent in Marlon Vera, avenged his own loss, you know, proved he was the better fighter. We'll have to see, man. Marlon is so composed. He's so calm. He's just a killer, man. And he has his signature back of the headshot technique when he hurts dudes. I think that's really it. I'm very excited for this fight. I got a lot of guys coming over for this fight to watch it, so you know what that means. All my picks are going to get fucking obliterated, you know? You tell your friends, you tell your family members, you tell your loved ones, like, hey, this guy's such a good fighter. Like, why don't you watch the fights with me this time? Like, I know you don't watch fights. Like, and then they watch, and then your pick, you're like, yo, this guy's a knockout artist. Gets fucking sent to the shadow realm. Like, oh my god, this guy's wrestling is insane. Gets picked up, dropped on his head. Stuff like that. You know how it all goes. You'll see my live reactions tomorrow. I hope you're as excited as I am. If you watched to this point, God bless you. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it for any reason. If you disagree with any of my picks or agree with any of my picks, just have any insight, any thoughts on the fight whatsoever, you just want to talk, drop a comment down below. I'll get back to you. I will get back to you as soon as I see that. We can talk. As always, I appreciate you if you watched this video for this long. I really, really do from the bottom of my heart. I hope you have a great Saturday and a great Friday night if you're watching this on Friday night. As always, much love and big kiss.